I can't hear you. Press the button. I can't hear you. Press the button, you donut. I can't hear you.
Hello, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
You are a fucking star, aren't you?
Stephen, this is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
I dare you to say that one more time.
Stephen, this is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
Who the fuck are you?
Hi, Stephen.
Yes.
This is Clem Fandango.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Are we rolling?
Hi, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
Stephen, this is Clem Fandango.
What, the work experience, boy?
Yeah, can you hear me, Stephen?
Yeah, I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
Hi, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Bzzz. Look, I'm going to need some direction. Which bee am I meant to be?
Hi, Stephen. This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. I can't hear you.
It's Clem Fandango.
I love him.
Oh my god! I had no idea that was coming. I
I'd never finished The Toast of London.
Oh,
okay, great. So you guys are familiar with the actual? I guess is it like a skit comedy show? I'm assuming.
I thought it was from the Toast of London show.
But like, is that a sketch show?
It's not really a sketch show. It's more. I mean, I've only seen the first one, but it's more in the vein, I would say, of like a Flight of the Conchords, right? So it's not. It's comedy, but it's not sketch comedy, right?
So all right, there's a lot happening.
I had no idea what that was, and I was just along for the ride. I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." I don't know.
All right, so
Matt Berry on this show.
Let's go over a few key items. First of all, welcome everyone to a new episode of the Next Issue Podcast. As you can see, there was a few technical difficulties because I hit live and the countdown was going, and I forgot. Oh shit! I didn't upload the video I wanted to play.
I wondered why that happened.
Which is why you saw me scramble, hit the live countdown again, and then it was done. Well, like by the time I finished uploading, I was like, all right, we're not waiting till 0 again. Anyways, as you can see today, we have a very special guest. This is my buddy Jeff. Hey Jeff, how are you doing?
Welcome. Doing all right. How are you? How's everybody? Thank you.
Doing well.
I also really like. I thank you. Thanks for having me. I also really liked your countdown. I really wanted it to count down to 0, and then somebody's like BBC News. Let's get into it. You know,
that'd be amazing. Yo, God, that is where that music is from. I keep trying to place it. Thank you.
See, I just got it off of YouTube. So thank you, BBC News, for not copywriting strike our videos. Maybe it's like a free copyright royalty free countdown that everyone uses, even the BBC.
I don't know. You may be getting the BBC coming after us. So
see, it sounded like an old ESPN music too.
We also don't want to say BBC too much because that's also an industry term for another industry that
hashtag BBC, hashtag BBC. So,
yeah. God. Well, that's how we got 1,000 viewers. It's all we needed.
And they're all disappointed.
Yeah, very much so. But leave a like and a comment, even if it's a negative one, on how you're disappointed on the show. All right. For today's show, once we get to our main topic, we're gonna be talking about working in a comic shop, the comic books industry as a whole. There's a lot of things to discuss. Dan DiDio finally solved it earlier this week, I think. Like he figured out why the industry is in decline. We may not get to that, but I mean,
that man will solve anything.
Yeah,
even if it's not
broken, way.
Even if it's not broken, Dan DiDio is working to fix it. So, before we get started, Jeff, do you want to tell our audience who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Hernandez, as you can see on the screen. I grew up in Texas, grew up in the Dallas area. My work is very boring. My day job is very boring, but I do work some weekends at a comic book shop. I've been reading comics since the late 80s, I'd say. Grew up with all the nerd stuff. And then Daniel and I met at a comic book club at a comic book shop that we both go to.
Mhm.
And I said, if you ever need another old man that likes to talk about pop culture stuff, I know there's a shortage in the industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please have me on.
There's a very we have a very specific set of requirements to be on this specific show. And Jeff checked all the boxes. So.
He was free this morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's why he wasn't on last week.
So do you want to out the store that you work at?
That's a good question. I would make some changes to my
But do you want to say which store?
Yeah.
I'll say it's Boomerang Comics in Louisville, Texas. That's a great store. I love it.
Great store.
I think we need a couch. That's basically what
Every time there's a suggestion box meeting,
yeah,
they keep pulling. Can we get a couch? and no one. Yeah. So I mean, I guess you can't really see our background behind this, Jeff, but it should look familiar because it looks like this.
Nice.
So
it's a nice looking store.
It's a very
It is. Boomerang is really nice. I mean, I try to go at least once a month when we do the book club. And then I also get to pick up. There's a very specific variant waiting for me because it was sold out everywhere else. So I called the store, and I don't know who answered because it's not somebody I'm familiar with. And I asked them, "Can you please hold this for me? I know I don't have a pull subscription right there anymore, but can you hold this for me? I'm going over next weekend for the book club." It's the World's Finest with Nick Cage on it. I think we might have seen that.
Yeah.
You showed that last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice.
very excited to go pick that up later today. All right, let's get into it. Josh, I'm gonna let you go first because I feel like you have a mountain of books to get through.
Did I read that? Well, I may have read the most this week. Yeah, so let's see. I kind of have these in an order here. I read Unleashed, number 2, which just continues to be a hell of a lot of fun. I really love it. I like it. I like comics where the stakes are like this, right? Like they're not. It's not, Infinity Gauntlet level. It's very kind of ground level with characters whose hearts are in the right place, and also all happen to be animals. So,
so good.
I love that.
I will say the stakes are pretty high for a pack of animals working on this.
True.
The stakes are pretty high.
It's like Beasts of Burden high, right? Yeah. Which this gives me a lot of. This is like the superhero Beasts of Burden. So, which if you've never read Beasts of Burden, go read that. That's a great book.
And I love that panel.
I know, isn't that good?
Just the most dog. I forget the name of the artist, but yeah, he is drawing.
It is Jesus Hervas.
It's yeah.
Or
some really cool stuff. D-Dog, best new character of 2023 for Marvel, hands down.
Yeah, D-Dog is great. That's why I stole the name.
When I went last month, when the first issue came out, I asked at Boomerang because I was there that day for book club, and they told me that the book's not selling well. Like, no, there was a bunch of copies left, and not a lot of people picked it up. Yeah, which is wild because Kyle Starks is, I think, a pretty popular writer.
Yeah, very popular. Yeah. I mean, and the art is great, and I mean, it's a kid-friendly book. Right. Yeah. So it's like, that is kind of shocking.
If your kid doesn't mind a little bit of Blackheart in their comics.
Right. True. But I mean, dude's credit, he hasn't done anything yet. That's too terrible, So Unleashed, again, I picked up the, Throg cover. This one took me by surprise because I have been reading this, and for some reason in my brain, I thought it was done. But it's not. Miracle Man, the Silver Age, number 6 came out. And it's, man, I do not know how this book is going to end, but
it's a very dense read.
It's a dense read. You absolutely have to know all the original Moore run to I think to really understand and all. It's a bleak book too. I mean, Gaiman writes some pretty bleak stuff, but never as bleak as Moore, I feel like. And this is pretty much down there.
I'm surprised I don't see, because Neil Gaiman's pretty active on Blue Sky, and I don't see him talk about this book.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's I get the impression, and I could be wrong about this, I get the impression that it's really probably Buckingham on art that's kind of holding stuff up. The art is beautiful. I mean, as to be expected. But I'm assuming that is the gap.
Maybe he doesn't even know when it's gonna come out.
That could be, yeah. Because I'm sure he turned in the scripts like ages ago. But it just I'm trying to find a page I can actually show you that won't spoil anything.
I mean, out of context, I don't know if we'll get a spoiler anyways.
Well,
I don't think you can spoil. I mean, because I've got the first 5 and I've been reading and every issue just has so much content to get you to where you're at in that issue.
This one is interesting because it gives us I think a pretty understandable backstory for young Miracle Man, and it's clear that they had to provide the backstory at this moment because everything that's been happening to him, you know, this whole series is essentially he comes back and he comes to a world where his last memory was of basically being in the Miracle Man universe of like the 1950s Golden Age comics. And he comes back and basically Miracle Man's a god. The whole world has been reformed and reshaped, and he's heralded as a, you know, like this like sort of demigod type person, but he just doesn't know how to fit in because his whole life was built in this golden age of comics. And then he finds out that is all fake. And so it's like peeling these layers of an onion away to just really expose this, you know, like inner core. It's a fascinating read. I'm really glad they were finally able to work through the legal morass to like reprint all the original Moore stuff. I'm sorry, the writer, and then get to this. And it's kind of a fascinating undertaking because how far did Gaiman and Buckingham get in this originally? It was like they got, I want to say through the first, like he drew the first 3 issues and then it just either never completed or never got published. So basically Buckingham has been redrawing all of this. And at the back of each issue, they'll often show like not only his sketches, but some of the like original sketches he had made for the comic and kind of how they've changed. I was trying to see if they did that this time, but no, because this is all new. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Miracle Man, fun stuff. 2 titles that I realized I was 2 issues behind on, so I had to catch up, are Unstoppable Doom Patrol. Anyone else reading this?
I picked up the first issue, but I'm waiting for a trade.
Same.
Okay. I would say do that. It's been fine reading it from month to month. I think the thing I don't understand about this book, and this extends to all of the Dawn of DC stuff, I have no idea why this is a limited series or what it's setting up. I don't. Like, I'm enjoying it immensely. It's a lot of fun, but I'm kind of sad there's just one more issue and then it's done. Like, I don't understand why they're doing that.
Yeah, I don't either, because I didn't see that it was a 7-issue series until this issue. Like, it didn't have limited series on the other covers that I'm pretty sure it wasn't on the first issue.
No, I think it's been on all of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
I'll have to go back and
I knew it was limited. I didn't know it was 7. I thought it was going to be 6, which 7 is a weird number.
Yeah.
I do like, well, this might be a spoiler. Has this character, the Quiz, ever shown up before?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's amazing. Her power is every power you've never thought of. So the minute she shows up, Cliff just starts yelling out like, you know, laser beams from the eyes, teleportation. Like, and one of the new members is like, what are you doing? He's like, her power is every power we haven't said. So start yelling out powers. It's kind of incredible. So that is, it's so much fun. I don't get what Dawn of DC is.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they're trying to do. And I just kind of wish this was just an ongoing series because I love the team on it. It's
Dennis Culver and
Culver and Burnham.
Colin?
Chris
Burnham.
The quiz was a member of the Book of Dada.
That makes sense.
Or the Brotherhood of Dada.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Now, Jeff, did you say you read this as well?
Yeah, I'm reading this month to month. I haven't read this last issue, but you know,
oh crap, sorry.
It's fine. But a lot of their series, these Dawn of DC series, seem to be a little bit limited. Like they're limited. I think Green Arrow is limited series. It makes me think they're just being cautious. They've relaunched their line so many times, and kind of fallen on their face a few of those times, more than a few of those times, and they're just like, let's not go big. Let's just get smaller.
I mean, and they can always extend it, right? If it's successful. Like Poison Ivy was a limited series originally, and it got extended to I even think that almost lends itself more hype. Like when you announce a limited series and you're like, oh, this is selling so hot that like we're just gonna extend it to an ongoing.
Yeah,
like it even builds a little, because when that was announced, that was like when, okay, let me read the first volume of Poison Ivy, because if it's that good, then let me check it out. So it's working. It's they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. That kind of makes sense, because if they had just released Unstoppable Doom Patrol as an ongoing series, I would have read the first issue and made my decision from that. And I would have kept reading it because I enjoyed it. But buying the first issue and seeing it's one of 7, when I like it, I know I'm at least in for 7 issues, right? Yeah. I guess, like, why couldn't, how do I say this? Why couldn't this have been a limited series not tied to Dawn of DC? Like, what is Dawn of DC doing that is somehow, because I don't have any idea having read this. I've read 6 issues of this series and I don't know what Dawn of DC is.
I think they're just really like having these eras or headers on their books. Like, you know, Infinite Frontier was the last thing. Then we had the whole Future State thing a while back. Like, I think DC just like, it's kind of a way to differentiate like the year or the seasons, maybe. Like, it's kind of like, that's kind of the way I'm seeing it. It's like a season of DC comics, right? So
I think like back in the mid 2000s, Marvel kind of launched like a heroic age, and like on all their books, and it wasn't really tying anything together other than a nice feeling about the books. Yeah.
Okay. Promiscuous Time Traveler, good point on the chat, because we all remember the Clone Saga. You just have to be careful with them artificially extending story to meet the demand.
Yes, that is a very excellent point. And
excellent, like excellent.
No. I've already talked about that.
Go check out a rant on the channel. I cut it out because it was excellent.
Pun intended. And speaking of books I was behind on, but I got caught up. Void Rivals. I'm still enjoying the hell out of this. I will say the one thing that's kind of bothering me is it feels very much like we're just going to... Okay, spoilers. If you haven't read the first issue, we're just going to keep springing these surprise appearances from the Energon universe into this. Mm. And I don't mind that, but what I haven't seen yet is how the central, the ring, which is like kind of the Romeo and Juliet style fractious planet that both of these Void Rivals are from, these kind of like two sides of this planet that are always at war. I don't understand how this fits into the Energon universe yet. I assume it's going to get there. But for the moment, it just feels very much like, and here's a reference to, you know, or a surprise appearance. And I'm kind of okay with that. But I would like something more deeply tied into it. So
yeah. And stay tuned on the channel. We'll definitely be talking Transformers #1. We didn't get an early advance copy, but we will eventually get it. So we'll definitely talk about it. I'm very excited about Transformers.
I am too. I haven't been this excited about anything Transformers probably since the original series because I know, and I'm dating myself.
No. I was gonna say, as someone who just watched all the Transformers movies,
You poor bastard. I don't know why you would do that to yourself.
Why would you do
for
that?
content. We wanted to do an episode. So if you go check out the latest episode of I Read Comic Books, that's where we talked about all the movies. It's probably one of the longest episodes because we talked about. I thought we were only going to talk about the Michael Bay movies. No, we talked about all 7. So, but the latter 2 are a lot better, I think.
Bumblebee is hands down the best one.
Yeah.
Bumblebee's.
That's
I find those movies so fascinating because they're not good, but the casting, like if you pull that cast out and put them in a Broadway, like whatever, like they will kill it. You know, put them in Glengarry Glen Ross or something, and you've got
Except Marky Mark.
Yeah,
Marky Mark will never be good in anything else.
Marky Mark, the man from Texas named Cade Yeager.
Cade Yeager. He is a roboticist.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite line in all of them is, "I think we got ourselves a transformer." You know, that kind of,
I think we found a transformer.
yeah.
I didn't know.
That should be the line anyone who does a Marky Mark impression should say.
Oh,
I think we found a transformer.
The movies were hit or miss on streaming, so like I just went ahead and I bought the thing.
oh wow, dude, you're really invested. I feel
Does it come with any kind of mental health care?
It has a number in the back.
does it
The problem is that it's for Michael Bay's cell phone, and he just explains to you. He explains to you how they are really good, and how
oh my god, that's and
how the
and
lack of
he just
female
insults you
characters
the whole
only makes
time.
the movies better, and
Yeah.
how the misogyny and sexism and war propaganda, like it all really ties into the story, right? So,
Now I want to do a
15
fake
minutes.
commercial for that phone number.
but Dark of the Moon is actually pretty good.
Is it really?
I really like the whole conspiracy theory aspect of it. Anyways, whatever. This is in the Transformers episode. If you guys want to talk Transformers, you also have to suffer and watch all the movies.
I just want to know if that collection of Transformers it has same pride of place as your Steelbook Snyder cut.
No. This is going in the vault.
The vault.
How much is the full Blu-ray set of?
I think I got it on sale, so it was like 45, but it's usually like $60 probably because it's 5 movies. So this is only the Michael Bay stuff. It's not even the
But Jeff, you asked that. Danny's got a copy to sell for super cheap. So
It doesn't come with digital. It doesn't have the digital codes anymore. I'll tell you that.
that sucks. Okay, I just 2 more real quick. One, the reprint of Micronauts #1. You know, I was a kid when this came out. This is what 79, so I was like 5, and I remember this being huge and ROM Space Knight being huge. Like they were everywhere when you would go to the comic rack or the toy aisle, and I just never got into them. I don't know what it was. For some reason, these just never clicked with me. But I'd always heard for years and years that like Micronauts is a great comic. So I was really glad that this got reprinted. And Clay, you were saying it's because of
They got a deal to reprint Micronauts. So there is an omnibus coming with 3 different covers, which is kind of strange. But yeah, it's going to be a reprint of the entire series with both annuals. I did see that they're also reprinting an issue of ROM, so maybe ROM's coming as well.
It is. Yeah, I think they announced that first, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is $125. It's I love Micronauts. The interesting thing is like it was a toy that was adapted into a series, and then they wrote some extra characters in that are Marvel properties that will pop up in other places.
Yeah.
Like Bug
Bug,
is a member of the Micronauts, but he's also been a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was a toy line that I don't remember ever seeing on shelves or pegs or anything at Toys R Us or anything.
I don't think it was around very long, but the reason I almost got them is because they were very small. Like they were like the small, like 3-inch size figures.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I mean, they had a ship, the Biodome, and like I recently went and reread X-Men Micronauts, and they're just supposed to be like this size in real life. They're toy size, but like we can't see the microverse, that they exist in until sometimes they show up. But I love the art. I mean, most of it was Bill Mantlo writing, and he always just did fun shit, and that's the best thing about this is that the Butch Geist art is fantastic. It's good. Really good for a toy line. It's amazing.
I was gonna ask. So these were both titles. ROM and Micronauts were titles just to sell toys.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of, I mean, this is the era leading right up to the kind of 80s G.I. Joe Transformers era of toys would get a comic and a cartoon show, but there were no cartoon shows yet for this stuff. So basically the Marvel comics were there to provide the lore and the background. And they generally gave them a lot of room to play in. I mean, and so I think that's why, I'm purely speculating, but I think that's why later when we get the Transformers and G.I. Joe comics, they're so good. Because I think stuff like this helped them like understand how they could play, how they could expand upon a world based just on these little plastic things. So
but you also had Larry Hammond doing G.I. Joe, so that was the perfect fit.
Yeah, exactly. That is like, hey, you look like you might be a good fit for, and then like a choir of angels opens up in the sky, and but I was saying in the pre-show, the problem I have with these is I still haven't read the full story because I just get utterly infatuated with the old ads.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting here reading, like, I remember these ads and the thing for like the comic book catalog or the comic convention. Like, I could never go to these things as a kid. And I was always like, I want them. I want to be there.
I love the idea of having to order a catalog you had to pay for.
I know.
And send a self-addressed stamped envelope so that they could send it back to you. So you're paying just to look at their inventory.
Yeah.
I still think it's weird that people have to pay for the previews book. That's wild to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Hey, you want to buy more comics? Here, give me $5 and I'll tell you everything that's coming out in the next few months.
And if you're really nice, I might order it for you. And then finally, and I'll be honest, I really only picked this up because it's Mark Russell. Rumpus Room.
It's so good.
I see Danny read that. Yeah. So without divulging too much, and you can kind of get this just from reading the description online, it's basically, what if Elon Musk was a psycho? Why am I saying this so vaguely? Elon Musk is clearly a psychopath who likes to harm people. And so that cut that out. And this is basically the plot of this. You have like this tech billionaire who just kidnaps people and is developing something very devious to do with them. You don't know yet in the first issue. It's great.
And Clay, fun fact, covers all by Tony Harris.
Yes.
Oh, love
Tony Harris cover. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The cover tells you a lot. Like once you read the book and you go back and look at the cover, you're like, oh, damn.
I don't know if I want to read like a Elon Musk supervillain comic.
Yeah, it's Mark Russell, so like it's funny.
Okay,
it is
because he's doing the best satire in comics right now.
Yeah, he can go deep and like dark with it, but this one's not that. This one's just like pure satire.
Yeah, because I think the real Elon Musk is like just a slow adult Lex Luthor.
He's got a mug that says "World's Worst Boss" on it. It's very
it's
very tongue in cheek.
That's right. Very cool.
So, anyway, but yeah, that's what I read this week. So
nice. All right, Clay, you want to walk us through some of your stuff?
Yeah, I finished off Matt Fraction's Defenders run from back in the day. This book would have been great if the art had been consistent, and it's weird because it starts off with Oh my God, Terry Dotson.
Yeah.
Art.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and now I know that Fraction and Terry Dotson are doing Adventure Man, and it's been consistent art. So it's like it makes me want to go get that book.
You
But
should.
like, okay, yeah, I've got the first issue, but I haven't continued it because I just haven't been able to catch up.
Yeah, I'm doing trades for Adventure Man.
Oh, okay. Well, they're perfect fit. Like the first 3 issues, perfect, and then it's fill in like all the way to 12, and you're just like, because it changes. Art will change the tone of a book. Do you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the pacing. I mean, regardless of the writing, it'll affect all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
But I absolutely love it. I love how the Defenders come together and their purpose. Like he kind of understands Iron Fist is just a rich guy. So it's like, well, we need to all travel. So we'll call Iron Fist because he has a jet. It's just like random stuff like that. But he also brings a bit of history of the Iron Fist and these original heroes that were battling the thing that they're battling in here. It almost looks like he went into like some, Kirby-esque Ditko history to put this thing together. Like there's some deep Marvel history into this storyline, which makes me still want to sell the book and say, hey, this is a fun read. It's just the art really is the only thing that bothered me. I'm catching up on Grootfall. There it is. Yes.
Cool roster of like these are OG Defenders, except for maybe Hulk instead of Red Hulk, I think from the original roster, right?
Well, and Silver Surfer wasn't in it originally, was he? He was? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's weird because of the way Surfer interacts with everyone. Like this is probably the best read if you're not like if you don't have a solid foundation on a lot of these characters, seeing them interact and like especially Silver Surfer because he's definitely a different character in this than I've seen him in other books, but the interaction is what makes it work. I love Fraction stuff, so I'm always going to recommend it.
Yeah. Cool.
Grootfall. This is what bums me out. Marvel will put a whole series together that this was obviously written for the trade, and then the digital copy in the 6th issue isn't available.
Oh.
It's one of those where you have to go fill out the form to get the code.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of just giving us the code. But I kind of dig what they're doing. It's a stylized version of the Guardians, more in tune with the movie. Yeah, but it's something caused them to break up a year ago. They're having to get back together to fight Groot, who has become something they haven't really explained until the last issue. I also went to Half Price Books. Oh, I was going to say, I saw that you picked this up. Did you get the
of course
Scotty Young cover?
I was going to talk about it.
I had started limiting my Scotty Young covers, and so Aaron said, well, I'll just show you what comes in, and if it's another cat playing with a yarn ball cover, because he does those over and over again, he goes, I'll let you judge before I pull any of them, and he goes, then this is the best one.
I like it when Scotty Young does things outside of the superheroes, which Usagi is not that far removed, right? But still, like this isn't supposed to look cute. This is supposed to look cool, and it does. So,
let's see here. What else did I get? Oh, got a cool stack of like free comic book day books.
Oh, nice.
And was able to score this because I had just finished Judgment Day. So now this is kind of another thing that bums me out is like these free comic book day books that are part of an event or they're an origin. Like we had, I believe the Absolute Carnage had a tie into a Spider-Man book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, but I mean, these should just stand alone. These should just be a standalone story and not the beginning of something else. This shouldn't.
I get that.
Like if I get this should have a story that is just an Avengers story.
Right.
I mean, because this is supposed to be for new people. So why would you sell 3 teams in one book? I don't know.
I will go back to, again, my absolute favorite Joker story was from a free comic book day one leading into the Batman Catwoman wedding written by Tom King. And it works exactly like it does what you're saying better, right? On one hand, it is a standalone story. You need no other context other than knowing that at some point Batman and Catwoman are getting married. But then if you're interested, you can go on and read that series, right?
Yeah.
So it does both.
Yeah.
Hey, those are nice. Some of those were hard to get, I think. Like if you didn't get them on the first day.
Yeah, and they just end up at half price books, and they can't sell them because.
Oh, hey, I need that Dawn of DC primer.
Oh, you need it?
No, I'm kidding.
So there's that stash. A few books I picked up when I'm hunting back issues. I hit half price books and picked up some of the stuff that I'm missing. I've been trying to put an entire run of the Annihilation event together and Annihilation Conquest.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. But Half Price Books has a ton of these, so it's like I've been able to fill out quite a bit of them.
I hope there's not like a key issue in there, and like either one of those events, because that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah. But I mean, I see the Annihilation stuff like always in cheap bins because it was an event book and it was for that time, unless it is a key issue. Shelby finished Bingo Love, and I know we've been rotating this around. Who hasn't read this yet?
I have one already, so I don't know. Maybe Kyle's turn.
Okay, well then I'll need to get on to the next person.
There's no superheroes in it, so I don't know if you'll want to read it. But
this was the big win at Half Price.
Yeah. That's amazing. Look at that.
This is my favorite run of X-Force. Rick Reminder's run of the black and white suits, just so much fun. Like he really gets these characters, and he just makes. This is probably like one of the darker X-Force stories.
Yeah.
I've collected all the issues. I think I have it digitally, and now I have the omnibus.
Nice.
Finally, the last thing I was able to score, which I can't wait to dig into. Marvel did Beavis and Butthead comics back in the day. And and it was, I was looking through them, and like at the top, it'll say Marvel Comics, but near the end, they started to put a publishing Marvel Humor. Do you guys remember any Marvel Humor titles? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I didn't know, and I tried searching for it and didn't see anything. But the best thing about this is, let me see if I can find one of the pages. Beavis and Butthead, instead of looking at music videos like they did on MTV, will read comics. And so they're in a Punisher comic.
Nice.
So I am very excited to read some of these and see what comics commentary that they can offer.
Oh my God. Okay. I just did a quick search. Apparently at some point the imprint got named Marvel Absurd. And they had Beavis and Butthead, Earthworm Jim, Ren and Stimpy were like the three titles.
Okay. Ren and Stimpy, I remember that one now.
Yeah, I don't remember Earthworm Jim at all, but I would have absolutely picked that up if I'd known it existed. So,
yeah, I will say that they even cross over and have Daria. She's in the first issue.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because you see them go by their house, and so you see the mailbox with her last name on it. And
nice.
And I'm like, oh, is this just kind of a reference? But she shows up at a Halloween party.
Nice.
But that was my my haul.
All right, Jeff, you're in the spotlight. What comics have you been reading?
So first off, I have Dwellings number 1. This is
I've heard a bunch of people talk about that book.
Yeah, I've been one. I love the covers.
Yeah, so this is I think this is a reprint. I think this is so Oni Press is doing reprints of this. I don't know where he printed it up initially. I think I don't know. Anyway, speaking of old
that's amazing.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh,
these are all doctors. But yeah, doctored up. But it has this kind of like Harvey Comics
love it
to it, but obviously you can tell that it is not
slightly darker.
Darker. It is amazing. It is fantastic. So it's like have you guys read Stray Dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like Stray Dogs in that the pictures don't really, follow the tone of the book. It's very, it's like these old Harvey comics, but it's reads like Silence of the Lambs. So it is
I'm so in.
fantastic, and it is filled with like these ads, these kind of.
Oh yes.
God, those are great. I love that so much.
I think this first issue came out a couple of weeks ago. I think the second issue comes out soon. It's amazing. Very much recommended. I also have Kill Your Darlings.
I need to read that.
Mix. This is by Ethan Parker. I wrote myself some notes, and Griffin Sheridan with Robert Quinn doing the art. This is about a story about a young girl. A single mother and her young girl. The young girl has a very vivid imagination, and she's playing one day, and she likes playing princess, and all her little toys are her little subjects. And one day the toy says something to her that she is not imagining. She's like, the toy. It's almost like the toy is sentient, and she's like, the toy is like, there's troubles on the outer perimeter of the castle, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm not imagining this. But then she snaps back into her real world. The mom's, like she said, her single mother is having a hard time getting bills paid. The little girl eventually falls into a trance, a deep trance. All of her puppets, all of her imaginary friends are slaughtered, and she wakes up and all of her toys have been torn apart, and it just kind of goes on from there. It's a hoot of a story.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For anybody watching, we had a conversation with the creative team behind this on the channel, so make sure to go check that out.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty cool dudes. And Bob Quinn draws amazing stuff.
Yeah, the artwork's great. I just read Jack Kirby's Star Warrior starring Adam Starr in the Solar Legion. This is by Tom Scioli. This is basically just a remastered version of an old Jack Kirby comic that he did when he was 22 years old for a company called Crash Comics. This is he was 22. It was 1940, and it's basically like Star Wars, sort of Buck Rogers-y. This is Tom Scioli art, but he basically remasters over the Kirby stuff, and it's just
That's incredible.
That's quite a task, I think, to like redo some Jack Kirby stuff. That you got to be pretty brave. But I think Scioli's got the chops. I mean, he's been doing all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's his forte. Like, just kind of taking some like a really cool concept and distilling it down to like its main essence, and being able to match the tone and the vibes with the art. Yeah, I think he did was it the Hulk one? The Fantastic Four.
Rug. He did Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Grand Design, right? So cool.
He also has a Jack Kirby graphic novel and Stanley that just came out.
The unauthorized biography or something like that.
Yeah, he's great. He had I ran into him the first time. His art it was a Transforming G.I. Joe crossover, right? And amazing. It's so fantastic.
I wonder if you can even read those anymore with all the change in licenses.
I think I had to hunt them down. I have them all, but it was a hunt. It was definitely a hunt.
Yeah, I think my buddy Mike was saying if you're looking for Transformer comics from IDW, good luck, because I think Comixology has been removing stuff from there.
God damn it. That makes me so mad.
No, you know what? Actually, I don't. I was thinking he did GoBots. He did a GoBots miniseries as well. That's
that's not stuck in any IP legal morass. So.
Yeah,
very straightforward.
Also,
I didn't know that existed.
Oh yeah, the GoBots is fantastic. Godzilla War for Humanity. This is IDW.
Too bad Kyle's not here.
Yeah.
The artwork in this is fantastic, I think. It's definitely stylized.
Whoa.
It's not your thing, but it's not.
Man, that's incredible.
I like that.
Jeff,
But-
it is so funny. Every single issue you have shown us is one that I eyeballed at the store and ultimately didn't pick up.
That
It's
is
a
cool.
lobster.
I
You're
love
gonna
it.
need
That's
a whole lot of butter.
yeah. It's a basic Godzilla story, but I bought this for the art right away. The artwork is just fantastic.
I had to pick. Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to pick between Godzilla ongoings right now, and I chose the other one, the Let There Be, the one about the pirates,
the pirate one. That one sounded
Whatever.
cool. Yeah.
whatever it's called. Because what's his name is writing it. Here, let me look it up. You guys keep going.
Well, I'll talk about my last little thing. Is the Enfield Gang Massacre.
You did it again. Every single one of these.
This is from the same people that did That Texas Blood, Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. This is just a very straightforward Western comic. The thing I love about this, well, again, old ads, but even older than.
That's incredible.
Mail order guns.
And I don't read them, but at the back there's like a little article about like the world. I think like there's little articles in the back. Yeah, I don't read those because they don't have pictures, but.
But the thing I love about this is that it's not on the bond paper that you see most comics on. It's like,
Yeah. It's in like this will fall apart in 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like old newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an old newspaper feel to it. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's called Godzilla Here Be Dragons, and it's by Frank Thierry.
Oh, I love it. He's out of control writer.
Frank Thierry goes hard for it. So, and there's also a lobster in this one. Maybe let me show you on the one that's coming up.
Extra butter, please.
That's a big bib.
It's the same
that
story.
That would be the last page is Godzilla dipping it in butter and eating that lobster.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right. That was here, let me transition because the first book I read, and I won't go too deep into it because we have book club about it today. I finally read for the first time ever Daredevil Born Again.
Oh my god, dude!
Can I say I thought year one was my favorite David Mazzucchelli book. This might be better.
I 100% agree with you.
It's so well. All right, I'll say this. It starts off very, very strong, and I think that's what most people remember. I don't know that it sticks the landing because it doesn't. It feel like the story doesn't fully come to. I wanted a little bit more closure, but that's not Mazzucchelli's fault, right? That's on Frank because Frank Miller, Frank Miller was gonna keep going with the run, so maybe he didn't want to finish it there. I don't think that's where his run ends, but man, Mazzucchelli's pages just, oh my god! Like I think IDW just put out like one of those artist editions, and I saw it because they sent us a preview of it. And I was like, "Oh man, should I get this? Like the physical one?" And now I kind of like if Mazzucchelli stuff is in there, like I kind of want to get it now.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look. But man, some of those panels, the way he draws, Daredevil leaping around and stuff, and it's in the winter, so like it's all covered in snow. Like the coloring is also very good. I don't remember the name of the colorist, but man,
it's
Lynn Varney.
That's who I was thinking.
Hold on, I have it right here.
So I just looked it up. January 30th, 2024, Marvel's putting out a hardcover gallery edition of Born Again, probably in time for the show.
Yeah. You know that cover, the cover is a little. It's not misleading, but it certainly never happens in the book.
Oh, there we go.
Hold on, Clay. Hold it. Okay, cool.
Mazzucchelli, Craig Anderson. I don't see Lynn Varney on there. I guess not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I really appreciate the lettering was for a book that is this narration heavy. The like the word balloons were colored in a very interesting way, where it's not just like white text or like white background on with black text. Like it almost feels like they color it to make sure that it matches the tone of whatever scene's happening. And I think more books should do that, and I don't think they take the time to do that. So kudos as well to the letterers, at least for the first, like I said, those first 3 issues are some of the best shit I've ever read, ever. And then Nuke comes in.
That's great to hear.
Once Nuke comes in, the story kind of goes a little bit off the rails because it's more about Nuke and not so much about what the original premise.
You know, but it's funny. There is a page. It's when they take down Nuke in Hell's Kitchen and the Avengers show up. And that whole page I used to show to students because it was a great way of introducing all these characters and what's happening in these kind of like iconic panels. So you have that one panel of just like Iron Man standing there, or it's Cap, I forget who, and like the rain is hitting him. Yeah.
Well, I guess both of them are there, but
yeah, it's incredible. It's such a good book. And you just reminded me I don't own it anymore. So I need to read it.
This is actually one of the books that I can read on Comixology because it's on the unlimited thing.
Oh.
I mean, just
I know I bought it on Comixology, but
let's see.
I agree with Daniel. The trade that I picked up for Comic Book Club has a lot of the raw drawings of just the of Mazzucchelli's drawings in the back, and those are fantastic. Those are great. I don't know if you guys have ever read Asterios Polyp by him.
Yeah,
it is a master class in like just illustration.
Until those last 2 pages, it's a great book.
This panel. This panel here, my goodness! Like man, it is so good. This book is so fucking good.
See, I love Nuke's madness in his eyes.
Yeah, I also like how much context this adds to the show. Like it made me want to go back and watch the show again because they didn't fully go into this, right? I don't think, but they grabbed some pieces of it, and they probably left some pieces behind that. Probably for the best. Oh, I love all this stuff like him jumping around. Yeah, Born Again, real good book, except for the whole Ken Page is not a very well written character.
Yeah,
she's just Matt's motivation,
right?
So that feels like a much more lived in New York City, real New York City.
Yeah.
Current.
So speaking of amazing Mazzucchelli stuff, and I feel like this is the bridge between that early Daredevil Batman stuff and then Asterios Polyp is City of Glass. I don't know if you guys ever read this, but it's incredible, and his work in here is just utterly masterful. Like it's really, really good.
Hold it. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a great book, and it's a comic adaptation of a novel by Paul Auster that should never ever be able to be adapted into comics, and they do it brilliantly. It's so good.
And this is kind of what I was talking about with the narration boxes. Like,
oh, I see. Okay,
I just love because it matches the king. Like you can tell this is like just the vibe. I really love these few panels, and as he turns and he just kind of keeps zooming in on the Kingpin.
Oh, look at that panel. It's so good.
The pacing. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I think the clay went away. I think if there next year I might be buying 2 Mazzucchelli artist editions because the Batman Year One is coming out. And then also if they do this one, I'll be all Mazzucchelli all the time. Damn, I think Mazzucchelli may be now my favorite artist ever. Interesting. Which it's probably not that interesting because he's probably a lot of people's favorite artist.
Well, I would again argue on the era, like that Batman Year One and Daredevil Born Again are like I think the height of his superhero era.
Yeah,
and then he goes into more of that like independent era with things like this, and then much later, I always say it wrong. Is it? I want to say Asterix, but that's not correct. It's Asterios, right?
Yeah.
Asterios polyp, yeah. So, which is great. The art in it is very different, but the ending is just, I don't know why an editor did not step in on that ending. So,
Step on it. I mean, at that point, like, who's gonna say no to David Mazzucchelli?
I think that's exactly what happened.
Like,
So
if it's not a big two book, like, who's gonna say no to David Mazzucchelli on his creator on stuff?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go through some of my books for the week, and I might take a few pauses to talk about some more in length. But another issue of Christopher Chaos. I love this book. I'm gonna try to get an interview with the creators of this because, man, I really, really like it's so beautiful, and they keep introducing characters, and it's feeling a lot. I haven't seen the movie Monster Squad, but I imagine there's a lot of feelings. Like, however much people love that movie, I think it's because of the stuff that's like what's happening in this book. So yeah, we already talked. Well, we saw this, but this is fun. But I'm gonna wait for the trade. I think Usagi Yojimbo stories. The one thing I did notice is that when did Dark Horse get Usagi? Because this was also an IDW property, or it was being published at IDW. But I wonder if Dark Horse is like told Stan Sakai, like, oh, you can publish it with us under your Dogu Publishing, and then you can have maybe more control of the character. I don't know.
I could be wrong, but didn't Dark Horse like originally reprint most of Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo stuff like back in the like 90s? I don't know. I'm gonna look this up because vaguely in my brain I remember it being a Dark Horse thing, but I could be wrong. Hang on.
What I like about Usagi is that you can hop in really at any story, because the stories are pretty like they're very contained, and also like I know that I'm gonna get a good story. It may not be like, oh, this is completely new stuff because Stan Sakai's been doing this forever, so there's only so many stories you can probably tell about a Ronin rabbit samurai. But
we take that back.
Yeah, that's true. I got the question, the Rene Montoya variant cover for Detective Comics.
Nice.
For the Hispanic Heritage Month. I read Invincible Iron Man number 10, the big wedding issue.
I noped out of it just before that, although I do really like he's Mrs. Emma White or Mr. Emma White. Yeah, that was great.
Emma Frost. Yeah.
Emma Frost, god damn it.
Before you get, people are gonna start yelling at you in the Emma White, who the fuck is that? I did make
Emma Frost, the White Queen. I just took some words out in between there. So
yeah, let me show you. I want to show you guys a quick. I made a little dumb video because that's all I make now, just dumb little videos. And this is very niche for anybody that has seen. You'll probably see, but it did very well on the channel. People liked it, so.
Oh,
every day I wake up and I hope you're. Every day I wake
up. I just captioned it. Emma and Tony 2 weeks into their marriage.
I love it. That's awesome.
The best part is that somebody in the comments said, "Yeah, but Emma Frost is Adam Driver."
Yes.
Hold on, let me wait for. I'll play it again for Clay.
Is this Tony's first wedding?
No, he's been married before. He has to have been married to Pepper.
Oh, I've watched this clip. I like it.
Yeah, people like it. People like it online. So I'm glad you guys appreciate my dumb shenanigans. For the subscribers. And then, like I was telling, somebody commented that they agreed with this, but they wanted to make sure that we understood that Adam Driver is Emma Frost in this scenario.
I love that so much. That's awesome.
Going through this stuff. I haven't read this, but I do want to get into it. The first spooky book I bought for the season, Tales from the Cave. This is an anthology from Mad Cave. It's just a one-shot. Which Mad Cave has a comic that we're going to talk about in a minute as well, coming out next week. I'm not reading Harley Quinn, but if Jenny Frison is going to do a cover, I'm going to probably pick it up.
That's a nice cover.
Also, this one I do want to talk about. Action Comics 1057. This is the Jorge Jimenez variant. This has one of my favorite opening pages for any Superman book I've read, probably in the last few years.
Huh.
So it's just Superman, and it's just these 2 pages. He's having lunch up here at the construction site, and he's talking to this man, and they're talking about like how hard he's being, how difficult it is being a parent and stuff like that. And then Superman has to go, right? And then you flip the page, and in the last few boxes, this guy, what's his name? Glenn. He tells Superman, you don't have to keep checking up on me. So we can tell that this person is somebody that Superman might have put in prison before, but he's turned his life around.
Yeah.
Superman tells him, I'm not checking up on you. I just like having lunch with a friend.
Aw.
And I was like,
So sweet.
like that could have been the whole comic. But then it gets really good after that, like too. So yeah, Philip K. Johnson understands what people like about Superman, I think. So at least what I like about Superman. A comic that you guys won't be able to see because it's shiny. But this is the new Flash.
My eyes.
Flash
Okay.
#1.
I want to hear about this, Danny, because I waffled. I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this first issue of a new Flash series, and then I didn't.
It's okay. It's a little weird and out there for me. I do appreciate that it's Wally. Like Wally's my favorite Flash, so like I do want to read this. But I also know just from reading X-Men and Cy Spurrier stuff in the past that I'll enjoy this more altogether. I also think Mike Diodado's art, I think it's really good as the house style. Like it fits. I don't know if it fits so much in a book for the Flash where you need more like dynamic stuff. Like his art feels a little bit static for me. But I think it's gonna be a fun story because like things get really weird very fast at by the end of the book. So I'm gonna revisit this probably in a trade. Because I do like Cy Spurrier. Like I'm really liking the Nightcrawler book that he's doing. So
Yeah.
all right. Now this one is Marvel's big money grab, but man, it's so good. Ultimate Invasion #4. That doesn't really end anything. It just kicks off a whole new thing.
Boy, Hickman's good at that, isn't he?
Dude, this was $8.99. This is ridiculous.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's way.
I only bought one. I didn't buy any variants. But they know it's a Hickman book, and I'm gonna pay for the fucking $8. So.
And they're gonna buy a lot of them because they expect a lot of them to sell. But I'm gonna pick it up in a dollar bin.
As you put together 10 years from now, your Hickman Ultimate Invasion run, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, the Schlub 2 came out this week. This book continues to be a lot of fun. I love it. This is like my superhero, but this one's funny. Batman, the Gotham War Red Hood one shot. This story is really good. I've also read the Batman that's coming out next week. Holy shit. Chip Zdarsky and Tini Howard are telling a really fun story. So, and I picked up, and I haven't, like I said, I'm not reading this monthly, but I had to pick up the Michael Janin cover for Doom Patrol.
Wow.
I didn't even see that cover. That's
Flex.
nice.
Yeah, I know, and I hear that. I know Flex Mentalo's in the book, but he's not like a big part of the book. But I was like,
He's not.
But look how cool he looks with
That is really cool. Yeah, he's sort of, so the book is introducing this like younger team, and he's their trainer essentially. So, yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading somebody left a comment on our review of the Wheel of Time. They're waiting for the finale, which is next week. But there's a couple more books I wanted to touch on. Oh, okay. There's a Comixology original called Black Sight. It's a new book from Stephanie Phillips. It's really cool, but it makes you never want to take a vacation in Europe by yourself.
Hostel did that for me.
Yeah, because nothing good can come from it. But yeah, it's really cool. Very, very scary. It's a thriller. So like, I'm kind of dipping my way into the spookier season, the spookier books for the week, for the month. And then the last one, I was talking to some friends on Thursday about stuff, and I saw that Claudia Gray is going to be coming to the fan festival thing, whatever the fan expo thing that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I know she's done a lot of Star Wars books, but like those are like books, like prose books, not comics. But she has done some comics, and she did a series called House of L. It's like from the young adult series. I started reading it probably like at 9 on Thursday night. I finished the whole thing because it was really good. It's like 170 pages that I read that night. It's a book about the like Krypton and before everything leading up to like the destruction of it.
Okay,
but it's really cool. It gave me a lot of it's definitely kind of a young adult vibes because do you guys remember that movie Divergent, where they have different houses and caste systems and stuff?
Okay,
it focuses a lot on
Poor
that.
Man's Hunger Games.
Kind of, because I guess kind of, because we know that Kryptonians were genetically engineered to be like, this is what you're gonna do as a part of society. So the book really leans into that. Like, so anybody that's like Zod and his people, those are the warriors, right?
okay.
And then you have like Jor-El and like the upper houses and the scientists, like, but this book is about like there's signs that the world's coming to an end, but nobody's paying attention because it's in they're genetically programmed to only focus and care about the one aspect of society they're contributing to.
Okay.
But what happens when there's a few people that maybe don't see it that way? Like there's a underground kind of group that has figured out that they're in the shit and they want to do something about it, but they can't because there's all this propaganda from Krypton, like everything's fine, we're not gonna blow up by the end of book 3. So
spoiler.
Yeah, right. That's what really drove me to read it, because I know how this ends. I know Superman. I've seen the first 20-30 minutes of Man of Steel.
I mean, but does it dwell on the parents building the rocket, or is it
no? This isn't even about Jor-El and
it's
Lara.
just about
it's
Krypton.
more about like her Lara's cousin and some other people. Like it focuses on different characters that you never even heard of. Probably, I'm sure they're made for this.
Yeah, I would just love to see like the day that all the information kind of comes together to where the concept of building a rocket for your child is like,
I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's coming because in the first book, Lara's already pregnant with Kal-El. Because they even mention like, this is how the poor people have babies. We don't have babies this way. Like the lower classes,
damn,
because the lower classes can afford to genetically engineer their kids, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting, really well done. Definitely like very young adult vibes, but it's on DC Infinite. All 3 books are on DC Infinite, so I want to read them before the convention, so I have something to talk to Claudia Gray about. Because otherwise, I'm gonna be like, I know you're very prolific, but I don't read prose books. I'm sorry.
Could you include more pictures in your books?
Yes.
Right. That's right. So, all right.
And call them the Danny editions.
I do want to listen to her Bloodlines book. That's the book that follows Leia, like, and her turn being a general. So
yeah,
maybe I'll get that on Audible or something. All right. Real quick before we get into our main topic, because I know we've already ran a little bit long. I wanna hold on. Let me pull some stuff up because I want to cut this part out. You guys are seeing how the sausage is made. Don't ever go see how sausage is made. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible.
All right. So our friends over at Matt Cave and our dear friend of the show, David Pepos, friend of the channel, we got an advanced copy for The Devil That Wears My Face. This is a new book coming out next week, or I guess this upcoming Wednesday, from Mad Cave Studios.
I put this on my pull list.
Oh, great. Nice. Awesome. Well, we won't spoil anything for you, Jeff, but we will talk a little bit about it because we got a chance to read the first issue. But let me give you a quick synopsis. The year is 1740, and everyone's favorite year. and the Vatican is in turmoil.
I was still in high school.
Grappling with a profound. That's where the Greatest Generation comes from, right? I think. Grappling with a profound crisis of faith, outcast exorcist Father Franco Vieri is dispatched on a mission of grave importance to rescue a Spanish nobleman from the clutches of a sadistic demon known only as Legion. But when the exorcism goes tragically wrong, Vieri finds himself trapped and learns what the horrors lie ahead when the devil wears his face. Equals parts Face Off and The Exorcist from Ringo Award-winning writer David Pepose and Bram Stoker Award-nominated artist Alex Cormack. Is this harrowing tale of action and body swap intrigue that will leave comic readers on the edge of their seats. So yeah, this book, man, I like a good exorcism story. And this book definitely checked that box. And I'm also a big fan of David Pepose, like all the stuff he's doing over at Marvel at the moment, and even stuff he's done on the before that. But Josh, Clay, I know you guys also read this, so here I'm gonna throw it over to Josh first. What did you think of this book?
I liked it. Again, I won't spoil anything, but there is a twist that I should have anticipated, but I didn't. But it's good. You give me a story set in 18th century Catholicism, and I'm there. I'm a sucker for all that shit. So it was good. I thought the art was great. It felt at times almost like a little too modern. And that just may be me with my art historian cap on, but there were just times where I felt like the art didn't always jive with the story. But then you get like awesome stuff where like demons emerge and shit, and that looks amazing. So it's a super minor point, but
yeah, here's a couple of pages, and this book is very graphic as well.
Oh yeah,
I really like. I think the coloring, like I really love how dark everything was. You get. This is the last page we'll show as preview, but it's pretty out there. Like they are deep into the shit with this Exorcist. So.
Yes, I love it.
And they really don't prepare the poor main character for what he's walking into.
No.
Yeah.
All right, Clay. What about you?
See, I think all the art synced perfectly with the tone of the book.
It's probably just me then.
Yeah, it was because I know his writing. I've read, like his Moon Knight and Savage Avengers books. So I was really focused on, is the art going to be in tone with it? And it was, and it's really beautiful. And like the eye effect is something that is just really fucking cool.
That was cool.
But even like that splash page you showed of the body that had been eaten. Oh shit! Like I really dig this book. Yeah, that page right there.
Yep, it's pretty gnarly, but man, definitely. Like I said, if I'm a little bit too chicken to go watch the new Exorcist film, but I can read this.
Come on, it's a movie.
Yeah,
it's just a movie.
No. Listen, myself and Matt Murdock, we both grew up Catholic, and whether I'm practicing or not, like in the back of my head, there's always like, but what if it's real? What if they were wrong?
So, like, if you met a priest that told you the story of an exorcism he performed, like you would believe it was real.
If Russell Crowe came in his little moped into my house and told me all about the moped. Yeah, if you haven't, this is tangential to the book, but whatever little Exorcist movie that he did, like there's some moments. But yeah, this book is great. So you got a little bit of a sign off from myself, Clay, and Josh, and then Jeff already has it on his pull list. So like, come on, experts telling you to go buy this book. So definitely recommend.
If they don't have you at Face Off meets The Exorcism,
right?
I really don't know what is going to start.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you want in comics, right?
And I mean, it can't be any more evil than what regular priests are doing now.
Oh boy.
There you go.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, that's gray weight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, make
Suddenly,
sure you go check this out.
Clay's phone rings, and it's like the Archbishop of Boston calling. So
Too
Clay's a
real,
little
too real.
Clay's a little too old.
Earlier we were talking about the evil billionaire and maybe comparing him to Elon Musk, and I almost
You just
said
have to say billionaire.
billionaire. Yeah. Those monkeys that died of the Neuralink, they were all going to die anyway. So everything's fine. Everything's
yes.
So
Yeah.
torture is acceptable.
fine. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to segue out of that. So
I kind of hope the Neuralink becomes our first superhero. It was just like it was mental torture, and he just takes it out on all the staff. Like he starts off as a supervillain and then becomes a superhero
It's funny you say that because I
with the monkey sidekick.
But this issue.
I thought Josh was going to pull out a monkey sidekick.
This issue of Unstoppable Doom Patrol is basically what you just described, Clay. So
I'm in.
yeah. Again, no spoilers, but let's just say you just summarized this issue, and it goes sideways fast. So.
There's only
that's
3
great.
stories, right? Man versus nature, man versus self, and then a superhero monkey.
Yeah. Which back in the 50s they discovered you put a gorilla on the cover, it sells, baby, it sells.
All right. Well, speaking of the industry and all that, we're gonna shift into our main. That's a great segue. It's like we've been doing this for years. We're gonna segue into our main topic, which I don't know where this is gonna go, but we have Jeff, who currently works at a comic shop. We have Josh, who has worked at a shop a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
It's probably a very different experience. And then you have Clay and myself, who frequent comic shops too much, probably.
But we have stories to tell, so
that's right, war stories. But Jeff, why don't you start? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Tell us a little bit about kind of like what the comic shop environment is like now.
So I think each shop is different because I also frequent a bunch of shops. And I will also preface by saying times are tough for everybody. So I think different shops kind of have to cater to whatever their local clientele is.
Yeah.
Living in the Dallas area, we are very blessed with just a plethora of shops. There are so many great shops here. And not only that, we have like so many great conventions, and like if you would be hard pressed to, it's easy to find stuff here, honestly.
Yeah.
My shop that I work at has definitely pivoted from comics and toys to start carrying more like Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, because that stuff sells like hotcakes. I don't know anything about it, so I'm always confused when I go and work and people are talking to me about it. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, talk to me about Galactus. I don't really know. But
have you heard the good news about Galactus?
yeah. It comes with pants. But there are others, like Titan has been around forever, and they are just comics, and so, I guess it kind of depends on if you've been around forever. If you're established, then you're probably just a straight comic book store. If you're starting up, you kind of have to have maybe a little something else to get people in. Me personally, I grew up a long time ago, so I'm a fan of like older, dingier comic shops that are like not well lit. A little bit.
I hate those.
It's like
we moved away from them.
It's like a fine line between a head shop and a comic shop,
Yeah.
So yeah.
One of my shops in Denton, when I was buying comics in college, like it reeked so much of cigarettes that I had to stop buying comics there.
I think I know exactly what show was it. Right by the art building.
Oh shit! I don't know. That was a long
No,
time
all
ago.
right. Never mind.
Well, to go back, I used to work at Half Price Books for like a long time.
Oh,
And I started like in the early 2000s. And when I first started there, speaking of cigarette smoke, everybody told me, they were like, you were just 5 years off from people just being able to smoke inside those half price books. Like people were like in the, as you know, mid 90s, they were just like, all the employees, it didn't matter, just smoking wherever they wanted to.
wow.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of where, because I spent so many years in the half price books, I'm like, the mustier, the better, kind of, sort of. And I know there's like a stigma, like those places are kind of mean and hard to like break into.
Very.
But I would, you know, as long as you have nice people, I guess. I don't know.
See, I always think of the dingy ones were run by some cantankerous old man. And if you had a woman come into the store, every person would stop and look.
Yeah.
You know, it was very an uncomfortable setting.
Yeah.
It was usually smelled of either weed or nicotine. And they would have a back room for their adult comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I mean, you could, but the thing about those kinds of stores is they would have stuff that you wouldn't find at your Main Street direct market stores. Like right. I could go to Lone Star and just get my regular stuff, but if I go to one of those dingy stores, I'm going to find some really weird independent shit.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best part of those kinds of stores. But the people there were all assholes. Like I don't remember any store in the 90s where if it wasn't like a Lone Star Comics, and it was like the owner was usually a dickhead, you know. And so I always got bummed out. I could name like so many stores that are out of business now, and you still have like those. I know Lone Star sold a bunch of its stores to its employees. So like here in Mesquite, I go to Urban Legends, which is run by Aaron. It's a great store. It's my local comic shop where I have a pull list. You get a discount, and that should be the standard for most stores. If you have a pull list, you should be getting a discount. But a lot, like I remember in Denton, it was like, oh, you could have a pull list. You may not always get your books, and you get no discount.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Urban Legends, I love Urban Legends because that's kind of right around the corner from where I live. And Urban Legends kind of has a little bit of that feel of like, I think it's, well, one, the market has changed. So there's not as much of an underground comics movement, like where they're being published. Like that's all online now.
Yeah.
So, but like Boomerang doesn't really order a lot of like those deep Mad Cave comics or, you know, stuff that, you know, like we stick to Marvel, DC, a lot of the Big Image stuff. Occasionally, if a big creator does something for those, we might order one or two of those. But like if I know I've missed something and it's Wednesday and I'm like, Boomerang may not have it, I'm going to run to Urban Legends first because they order a bunch of stuff. And they're right around the corner from me. Titan would probably be my second choice to go to try to find something like that.
Yeah.
Zeus is my second. I go for a lot of back issues when I'm trying to put some stuff together. If I can't put it together at half price books, they'll have the issues I need.
Yeah, Zeus goes deep into like the publishers too.
Yeah.
Which I think, I don't know if it's a more recent thing, but definitely feels like, I don't know if that was the way in the past or not before, but yeah, I'll usually, like I said this week, like if Boomerang hadn't had that variant that I wanted, I would have called Zeus to see if they would have had it. So cool. So Josh, do you have any fun stories from your day?
Oh my God, do I?
Or anything, or at least, or maybe anything that has changed so much that you're like, how did we used to do this?
Yeah, so here's kind of the question that I had, because I was thinking about what you're saying, Jeff, and also just my experience in stores lately. So I worked at a store in San Antonio in the early through mid 90s called the Collectors Asylum. And part of the reason it was so much fun to work there was most of my friends from high school, we all got hired there. So like my buddy Dave and my buddy Mike, we all worked there. It was a lot of fun. And I told this story a couple weeks back, but we also, like, the era that I worked in was the era of the dawn of Vertigo. And like when they had like the Vertigo tours, they came through to our shop. and I missed that day. I'm still mad about it. It was the dawn of Magic the Gathering, like right there at the beginning. It was the dawn of like the wave of World of Darkness role-playing games like Vampire. It's a really interesting period, I think, to work in a store. But the store I was at, and the more I think about it, most of the stores in San Antonio at the time were like this. They weren't just comics. It was comics, it was cards, it was toys, it was role-playing games, it was board games. Like, it was kind of a smorgasbord of everything. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if this was just what it was like in San Antonio or if stores were like that universally, but are they becoming more specialized now? Like, I feel like when I go to Zeus, I'm basically there for the comics. They maybe have some toys or figures, right? Like
they
you
don't
were
have
saying,
games at all. Because
we don't have games at all. Now, the game shop is just down
Yeah.
a few doors down, but that opened a lot later. And if you go to Titan, it's exclusively comics, right? With, again, some like toys and like posters and stuff. So
a lot of statues.
Yeah, a lot of high-end statues. There's that.
So
yeah,
but is that the trend now? Like, you don't have these like one-stop shop kind of. They have a bit of everything.
I think weirdly, if you look at a store like Madness, it's gone the opposite direction. That they've kind of gotten out of the comics business.
Yeah,
really pivoted to games and everything else but comics on them all.
Right. Yeah. True.
Yeah, because they got rid of their back issues like within the past few years, and they just said that like the amount of space that it took, it wasn't making that in profit. So it wasn't even worth keeping back issues around.
They're keeping a lot of the trade business because I think that's probably what's always kind of done best for them.
Yeah.
Because I know they had a pretty big, like, I don't know, I haven't been in a long time, so I don't know what that looks like, but it used to be like the wall was like just comics, and then the actual shelves had trades in them and stuff.
But they've kind of now pushed that, like on that left side, it's all in the back.
Okay.
So it's not even front of store anymore. Like it's kind of like hidden back there. I mean,
for people who've never seen Madness, it's like an old grocery store. So it's huge.
It's enormous. Yeah.
It's divided in half, and half of it is like live gaming. Like people come in and game, and then the other half is toys, comics, and comic supplies, and then the whole back section is just toys, like toy collectibles.
But
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I'll tell you guys a quick story. So before I started working at where I currently work, I used to work at a restaurant, and I had a second job, and then I took a seasonal job at Toys R Us. But when that ended, I was looking for another thing, like just for the weekends and stuff. And Gen X was hiring. Gen X is a comic shop over by the Mid Cities.
I've been there.
Bedford, I think Bedford, maybe it's where they are now.
Yeah.
And I applied, and the owner was very cool. Like, the interview, I think, went very well. But he definitely mentioned, like, we're actually looking for somebody who this is, like, it's somebody that they want this to be the, like, one of their main jobs, I guess. Like, they knew that I was taking this to, like, as additional thing, and they wanted to maybe leave that for somebody who, he didn't say somebody younger. I kind of figured that's kind of what they were going for, too, because probably they could also pay them less, maybe. I don't know. But they wanted somebody that this was going to be, like, their part-time gig because they're doing something else. They're a student or something like that, right? So that's the closest I've ever come to working at a shop, other than hanging around all day at like Sanctuary or something like that. But yeah, I think I've always wanted to. I feel like it'd be kind of interesting to see how everything is put together, especially like for New Comic Book Day. Like, there's got to be so much prep. I remember Zoos used to be closed on Mondays just because they were working to prepare for that was the day they would take off, right?
Yeah.
They would close on Mondays, and there was no comics on Monday. This was also probably when they were back over at Lemon Avenue, which was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
So
but they used to host great stuff. That was that's what I love about what stores became, because you had the direct market that kind of broke out in the 80s, and then the 90s you had the stigma of like the dark damp, store with poor service. And then the ones that have survived are the ones like Zeus that have turned it around. Like they hosted things like Cape, where they had tons of creators come down. So it was free comic book day, but it was like an outside convention that took over the parking lot at that place. Like that's what I loved about those stores at the time. They evolved and got better and were challenged by stores like Zeus to like, hey, host things, have creators in. And I've seen that at Urban Legends too.
Yeah, we went to see, was it T. Franklin and Phil Jimenez and I forget the name of the other creator.
Oh my God, yeah, Lila Sturgis.
Yeah, they were all there. Like they had a little panel, then they kind of hung around on there. I remember that was really cool. I know Keats Comics used to do like they had ladies' night. So I like when stores try to branch out and invite other people because you're right. I think going into a comic shop, it's already kind of pretty daunting if you've never read a comic, like, and you don't have anybody to help you along. Right. So I can't imagine being somebody that's not just like the male audience or whatever. Like, then you even have more hurdles, I think, put in your way. But I think a lot of shops are doing what they're doing is making sure that people, like everyone that comes in, feels a lot more comfortable going in by having, very accessible, diverse staff, and just like it's kind of like all these little pieces to kind of be more inviting to everyone. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I kind of lived through, and I do want to give props. I feel like the shop that I worked at in San Antonio, we were trying to do exactly that. Like it was not a dingy, smoke-filled shop. It was bright and open, and and we certainly catered to audiences that we would get people that came in that just wanted during the big like trading card boom, right? So not just Magic, but also like all those Marvel sets and stuff like that. And we had a whole side of the store just dedicated to all that, and employees that specialized in that. So we'd be like, go talk to Travis. He knows all about those cards. Don't talk to me. I'll talk your ear off about the obscure black and white indie comic I just read. It was that era. But I guess speaking of like how things were different, previews was essential. Like you paid for your previews. They were this thick. You went through it and it would give you 3 months ahead what was coming out. And it was everything. It wasn't just comics. It was t-shirts, posters, obscure, print books. I think that's how I got my first copy of Mignola's covers. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's still huge.
But what's so crazy is and they may still do this. In the back of it, there was just like a checklist that you would check off what you wanted. And then my buddy Dave that worked there and originally was faxing this off to Diamond. Like like he would type up all the list of what everyone wanted to order into like a sheet, and then he would fax that. Like his job most nights was just sitting by the fax machine, like waiting for stuff to go off. And then later we actually had like an early, online connection. And I don't know if it was like a BBS or some sort of like portal, because this is pre-web, some sort of portal that he would just like connect the modem to and send off the orders. So it was wild. It was crazy.
I was trying to figure out how to explain what a fax is, and all I could think of was like a really slow email.
I will say the best. If you want to see what a fax is, go watch Die Hard 2, because that is how John McClane gets the photographs of the terrorists. So
yes.
Now, Jeff, I want to ask, because we certainly had this at my store, but I feel like it's a very different environment now. In my store back in the 90s, every one of the employees had that one customer that we wanted to avoid, right? Because they would just talk your ears off for hours. So like one employee was it was the guy that got me into Doctor Who, and he's a big Doctor Who fan. And we get that one guy that walked in who would want to like break out his blueprints or trying to figure out the actual dimensions of the inside of the TARDIS, which is impossible. And he would just belabor this for hours. And so we had certain codes where as we saw them walking from the party, I'm like, hey, Mike, going back, right? And then they would just go in back and like take inventory or, you know, do stuff in the back room. And then we'd be like, oh, he's not here today. I'm sorry. So is that still a feature?
That is definitely still a feature. Right off the bat, they told me all the codes of like, if you need to get out of a situation or whatever.
Nice.
And I've always thought like, I'm like, well, how bad can it be? And of course it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten involved in it's hard to get yourself out of those conversations.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's a casual nerd conversation.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going, and then you're like, I'm done talking about it. You know, I love this stuff, but only to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that why everybody moves their hat forward when I walk into the shop? Oh, there he is.
The Batman guy's here. The Batman guy's here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few, and I've learned. Like I said, I'm pretty part time there, but I've learned to recognize some of them and be like, we're gonna keep this as a business transaction. And
yeah,
I for the record, I just want to go back. I don't necessarily love a comic shop that is kind of, you know, smoky and like whatever. I'm not out to trap anybody. Have anybody of you guys? Have you guys? I don't know if anybody's been to LA, but there's a bookstore in LA called The Last Bookstore.
Mm-mm.
It is a fantastic. You can Google images of it, but it's a 2-story bookstore. They sell used books and stuff, but their upstairs is just like this weird maze of bookshelves and bookstores. It's kind of like Lucky Dog Books here in Dallas. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
If you go through Lucky Dog Books, it's like a weird maze of like, you find yourself going further and further where these rooms just kind of unfold. And you're like, where did this come from? And so here's The Last Bookstore. They have like a book tunnel.
That's incredible. Wow.
They have like a bunch of bookshelves that are like,
that's pretty rad.
Yeah. They do a bunch of book sculptures and stuff. I went to a bookstore, a comic shop that is no longer around back in the 90s called Remember When, which was like in the Carrollton area. But they sold comics and a bunch of like old movie posters and movie stills and just a whole bunch of weird random things. And that in my head, but it was also kind of like an older store that had just crammed full of just weird stuff, like bumper stickers from the movie E.T., a lot of like promotional, just random things. And that in my head is kind of like what I still picture as like the ultimate comic shop. That's just a place where you can go and find the weirdest things you can find, you know?
So the first store that had comics, but it was also more like what you're describing, Jeff, I ever went to in Dallas. I think it was called Stage and Screen. Mm-hmm. And it was right down there on Oak Lawn. And man, that store was great. Like it had like mostly indie comics. So at the time, that's mainly what I was reading, but tons of like movie posters and like soundtracks. And it was an awesome like place. And I'm kind of bummed it closed down shortly thereafter. So
those kinds of comic shops are, I'm like, I like a good, like well-lit comic shop that is obviously, I think publishers can do a lot to help comic shops, and they're not doing. DC is doing great. Whenever they promote a movie, they're like, hey, go look at the comics that these movies are coming from, and they make sure that their trades are being published. Marvel, I don't understand why they're so difficult to, like, they just refuse to publish their stuff. They keep it like the old Disney vault for some reason. I don't know why.
Even DC, like at the end of their trailers, they'll put like, hey, here's 3 books you can read if you want to find out more about this.
Yeah, totally. Which is
whereas Marvel, I don't think they've ever acknowledged that these stories all came from comic books. Other than maybe not Kamala Khan, like she reads comic books, but that's probably the first time I've ever heard. Whereas DC puts them in all their movies, like the Flash, Black Adam had a bunch of like, the kid had a bunch of comics, like recent stuff too. Like I recognize a lot of the stuff that was on his room. And also, what was it, like Shazam? I guess the movies were kids mainly, but yeah,
it's weird that Marvel does that. I mean, and these are, it's not like you ever have a hard time finding like To Kill a Mockingbird in print, like, well, it depends what stage you're in, like Weapon X or something,
It depends what stage you're in, Jeff.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly.
Ixnay on the X's, Tay.
I want to ask because comics are like one of the weirdest media to order. Like you have to order like 3 months in advance, and there's like the final cutoff and all that stuff. Like, has there been a recent book that you guys just didn't anticipate was gonna sell like bonkers? Like that everyone, and I'm not talking about like something that was hot because it was a key thing from the TV shows, but I'm just like something that was like
totally.
Oh, shit. Why is everyone looking for this book?
Right.
I don't think they. I think they.
I'll be right back.
I think you kind of see them coming for the most part. There's like a few that are like 8 billion genies that will kind of like sneak up. Like you kind of have an idea they might be kind of hot, but you're not expecting them to be as hot as they are. That's kind of the last one I can really think of.
Okay.
Especially at our shop, like I'm the one sole subscriber that's like getting the weird random books that I hear a lot about outside, but for some reason they just don't sell in our store. But yeah.
Okay. And also now that we have that it's not just Diamond, I'm sure it's probably been a little bit more difficult to make sure like things are coming in order, and like probably you guys get shipments or different dates and stuff like that for the new stuff.
Yeah, especially now when DC went to being Tuesday, really Tuesday release versus everybody else that still has the Wednesday release. And now that I think it's Image that is.
I think Image now technically has a Tuesday release, right?
Their stuff is still Wednesday release.
Okay.
But their invoices are coming in. Like it's still kind of like.
It gets shipped with the other stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So it is a little bit not too difficult, but it's a little bit. It's like an extra step that you have to think about mentally.
Do you guys put out DC stuff on Tuesdays then, or do you just wait till Wednesday?
They prep the wall on Monday, and then they just cover everything on Monday evening.
Okay.
So Tuesday they'll pull all the stuff off the DC stuff, but keep the Marvel stuff covered. And
cool.
Stuff covered, and
that makes sense because it's probably very time consuming to put everything up on the wall. I will say, as somebody that doesn't have to, but as somebody that makes videos and stuff for that, I do like that DC is out a day earlier.
Yeah.
Because it allows me a little bit more flexibility of like, okay, so like, like Monday we'll talk about any advanced stuff, right? Like independent stuff or whatever. Tuesday I'll just do videos for DC, and then Wednesday I'll do previews for Marvel or whatever. So like it does kind of dictate the schedule. So I assume maybe for the shop it's a little bit similar where like it helps you guys prioritize. Well, like DC stuff is out earlier, so but I don't know it's going to be really interesting to see how things are going to shift. Let me bring back Josh. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen to Diamond, because Image isn't even on the newest previews book anymore.
I have a hard time feeling sorry for Diamond.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a monopoly.
Yeah,
we were using Diamond back in the 90s. It's been a very long time coming.
And I understand that so I had a friend who had a shop back in the 90s. And if you got behind on your Diamond orders, or like if you ordered late, like they were mean about it. They were very, very. And so
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I remember when he had to close his shop, like I went into his shop and he had finally made the decision that he was just at some point he was going to be buried in debt if he kept going down this road. And he was just like, one of the main reasons was Diamond was just so awful to try to order from. So that's always stayed with me. And I'm just like, and then going into when like DC started pulling away from Diamond, you kept hearing about how they had all these issues with their ordering service and stuff. Like they just refused to update their software. And so they have done it to themselves as far as I.
Yeah.
No, but I've also heard on the flip side that like ordering Marvel stuff through Penguin has been pretty hit or miss, right? Like my shop will get stuff and it's like it's all just bent, like it's not packaged properly, it seems like. So I don't know if that's an anomaly or
no, it happens in my store too.
Yeah, I've had a couple. I pulled out of the thing and they looked a little beat up, like they've fallen off the truck. I'm usually the one that pulls out the invoice list out of those boxes, so I'm in there beating the crap out of the comics before they hit the shelves. Anyway, some of them look really well packed, and then sometimes you're just like, I don't know, they're just paper.
Just like no 9.9s here, bitch.
Get this one slab, motherfucker.
Yeah, I make sure to ruin every single one of those. Those people that are speculators, you're in it for the wrong reasons, my friend.
Yeah.
Sure.
They walk in Boomerang, and every comic is just twisted up and stuffed in a back pocket. You're like, yep, we're good.
I do make sure to kiss every single comic book.
We sell these a lot.
Before you cover it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I know when DC and some of the others kind of shifted out of Diamond, there was a lot of issues with like getting the cadence right of shipping and stuff. Because I've seen, so sometimes I'll go to Sanctuary on like Tuesday nights and they're unpacking stuff. And comics ship very weirdly. Like this, they just ship them like sometimes they'll just be in a box like this.
Yeah.
Like it's a smaller box that comes within the larger box, so there's some protection, but they're just kind of like mixed, right? So if you order like 10 of one and then 20 of the other, like all the same, like all the books are just kind of stacked on top of each other. So the shops have to figure out like, okay, did I get all the copies that I wanted? And then like we're not even going to talk about the incentive system that is because I'm sure
it sucks.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Rachel, I get Scotty Young covers, and I was told that the way it works is that if he does a cover for a book that's not selling, it'll usually be tied to another non-seller saying, like, you need to buy 35 copies of this non-selling book to get this cover for this other non-selling book.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think. And that's probably, we could probably do a whole other show about that, but we would need some more research. But is there any other weird stories or things that you've experienced, like just working or being at a comic shop? Maybe you were witness to something before we kind of move on to the last thing.
Gosh, I don't know.
I mean, what has caused y'all to leave comic shops? Like, if you were getting them. Like I said, cigarette smoke was ruining
customer or as an employee?
As a customer.
Well, I mean, to Danny's question earlier, my one main story I've already told on here, which is the Tommy Lee Jones story. But go watch that episode. But like I will not stick with the shop unless I like the shop, right? And that's the owners and the customers and the environment and so on. If I walk in and that first impression is just like they could take me or leave me, and the environment's not great, I won't go back. But if I go to a shop where I feel welcome, they don't have to chat me up or get to know me, but just if I feel like this is a shop that wants me to be there for any interest, right? Not just there for whatever the big hot new crossover is. Then I'll try them out for a while, and so
I'm the same way. I would like to be acknowledged, and then
acknowledge me.
I mean, that's it. That's all I need. I'm a simple fellow.
Okay.
Jeff, do you guys do a lot of manga at the?
They're trying to. So we had an issue with our manga distributor, and it was just the COVID stuff made it real difficult to get stuff in. And then I think post that they were like, we need a new distributor. So they're starting to build it up at our store. I mean, it's obviously a huge seller.
Yep. Because Titan had like a little manga corner, but now they have like a larger selection.
Mm-hmm.
They even will put some volumes of like the more popular stuff on the new shelf for the week and stuff, which I had never seen. Like, even I guess maybe pre-COVID, which is before manga really kind of blew up. Everyone just like found manga at the same time while we were stuck at home, I guess.
Well, and it's been so when I worked at Half Price, like kids but nuts over. I mean, not kids, everyone was nuts over it, and like we were constantly restocking our manga shelves at Half Price.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of lived through that boom in the early 2000s because I worked at Borders, and just in the years I was there, I saw the comic section just, like what it would be like this much like American, European comics, this much manga, and then that just flipped by the time I left. It was, just like one column of the stuff that I read, and everything else was manga. So
I can remember it is fun like growing up in the expansion of the nerd. Because I can remember like when I first got into comics, I can remember going into I think it was like a B. Dalton bookseller or something like that.
I miss B. Dalton so much.
B. Dalton and Walden Books.
Yeah.
I remember buying The Dark Knight Returns, the graphic novel. And the graphic novel shelf was a shelf. That was it. That's all.
That was all they had. I was going to talk about
crazy.
Yeah, no,
right.
That was it. Just a single shelf with like a little. They said graphic novels. And that was it.
Well, cool. Well, you know what? I want to work at a comic shop. I'm gonna tell Sean over at Sanctuary to let me work like a half day on the weekend.
Oh, if I can get back to working, I would love to work at Urban Legends. I just don't know gaming and manga as well as I need to.
Hey, you got nothing but time.
That's true. That's
what
true.
do you want to know?
Deep dive.
We'll make sure. We'll use it to make content and then also to increase your knowledge at the same time.
Danny will do manga. Sure. We can all do games. So yeah, you're good.
Right. All
right. I feel training than on the job training.
Yeah, true. I do distinctly remember Wednesday mornings were always all hands on deck at Collector's Time because that was new
trying to hold the door.
Well, no, it was actually so we would all get there pretty early, like at 8 or 9 when the truck arrived, and it was actually always this kind of fun. All of us in a room. It was like Christmas morning for nerds, like you pop open every box, you're pulling out all the new week's items and comics and stuff and sorting them. It was great. It was good.
So what years for this? What years were you?
It would have been the shop opened around 91, and I probably started working there around 93, and I was there right up until I moved up to San Marcos. So probably 93 to 95.
Did you guys ever have any of the Image guys like do a signing at your shop, Josh? I feel like that's when they were. That's
they were
going around to touring. Yeah.
I feel like I will ask my buddies that also work there. I feel like some of them came in, but it was probably Wills, right? And who did? Was it Shadowhawk? Not Shadowhawk.
Jim Valentino.
Jim Valentino. So I think it was like that. So it was like, no offense to them, the B-listers, like the ones you don't. But I'm pretty sure Eric Larson was in that group too.
Oh, nice.
I'll have to go back. I know for a fact we had the Vertigo tour come through. Yeah. And
now, did you guys card people for Vertigo books? Because that was one thing that changed in the 90s is like you had underground books in the 80s that had nudity and all kinds of like different stuff. And then when Vertigo came and started doing like adult content, I got carded buying Preacher at Lone Star Comics. And I was in my 20s.
Yeah, no, I think we only carded if it was obviously a child, right? Like, hey, kid, look, you're buying a pack of Marvel superhero set 2 cards, and you're buying Black Orchid. I don't think Black Orchid's for you. No.
That's why you should like. I like what Titan does, that anything that's very mature themed, they don't like card you or anything, but at least they'll put it in a bag and board.
Yeah.
And like that way, not anybody could just like look into it.
Urban Legends puts them up on the top 2 shelves. So you have to either be a tall kid or an adult supplying you adult.
You have to be either a tall kid or a bunch of little kids
stacked together wearing a trench coat. Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly.
But then why are kids buying this porn at the comic book store? It's all free online.
Oh, holding
There's
physical
just something.
media is so important,
There's just something about holding a Jungle Fantasy in your hand.
How are they going to leave it in the forest for other kids to find? I mean, that's how we learned about this stuff in the 80s and 90s.
There's just something about holding a Frank Cho's Girls book in your hand.
Which, to be clear, is different than holding Frank Cho's Girls. So it's two very different things.
All right. Well,
what's the weirdest stuff y'all sold out of your comic shop?
Oh, so Boomerang has some pretty rad like Pokemon related stuff. They had some pretty nice stuff, and you guys also now have like a really cool shelf of like rare to find comics, like the stuff that's behind the register, and yeah, you guys have some pretty rad things now. That I guess with the new management, whenever that happened and all that, like there's some cool, like really cool stuff there. Like there was also cool stuff.
They have that X-Men #1 there, so that's
the
coolest
thing there.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I love going to Titan, because sometimes I'll ask Jeremy like, you got anything cool to show me that I won't be able to afford? And he's like, yeah, we can look at it. And then we go to the glass case. And then Sean does the same thing. Sean at Sanctuary in Irving, like he showed me when he got his Avengers #1, and then a giant size X-Men #1. Like they were pretty high value. Like they were going, I think maybe like $5,000 and $10,000, but he had just received them from CGC or CBCS or whatever. And he showed me, like, he's like, "You want to see something cool?" And then I was like, "Always." Yeah.
he's like, "Come into my back office."
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess my shop sold this, but it was only because I ordered it through previews. And again, this is dating me, but there was, I still have it digitally. There was a limited edition 6-song CD put out by a guy named Victor Banana. And it was all songs inspired by Dan Klaus's Like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron. And I'm like, I have to. Here, I have it on my Plex. I'll share it with you guys.
You might have to add me back because it's not letting me see your server at all.
Oh shit! Yeah, I had to switch servers. That's why I'll re-add you. But anyway. I'll just share the files on Drive. But it's a fun little album. Weird as hell. I've never seen anything else this guy made. But it's just Victor Banana's Like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron, the album. So.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think this might be worth revisiting, or maybe another facet of this. Before we let you guys go, and I know we already kind of ran long, but I do want to show a little something. This week I did a review for the movie The Raid 2, which, holy shit, I can't believe I hadn't seen that. And I found the video. Some of my buddies over at another Discord posted it behind the scene of the car chase. So we're just going to take a look at that. And then I think we'll close out the show. We won't do any recs this week. I think there's plenty of stuff that we talked about. Unless you have something really unless there's a Humble Bundle that's running out this weekend or something, Josh.
It's not running out this weekend. It's got 14 days, so we can wait.
Cool. So here, let me. All right, and hopefully I set this up right. Hopefully you guys can hear it. We're gonna take a look at this behind the scenes on the car chase on the Raid. It's not in English, but I think there's subtitles.
Ini sequelnya kita kasih tantangan atau adegan-adegan yang belum muncul di 2 seri sebelumnya. Misalnya seperti kejar-kejaran mobil.
Oh my God.
Itu kita garap sangat serius. Total ada sekitar 10 mobil sedan mewah. This one already like perfect. Adegan ini sangat sulit dan ini sangat bahaya gitu. Resikonya adalah nyawa. Tadi kita dapat Bruce Lau dari Hong Kong.
I want the name Bruce Lau.
拖巴嘅演戏啦，做了一些 platform 放在下面给人跳车的时候。
Yeah, there's some sequences that you go inside one car and then out the other.
Oh my God!
Without cutting the shot. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
That's amazing.
I love these movies. I don't know.
God, they got really fucking close to that guy. Oh my god, that poor guy.
We're gonna
He's
need
like,
a
oh no, my
Where did these come off? Holy shit.
Alhamdulillah saya
check
laku
that
sendiri.
dude's pants. Yeah.
Fighting dalam mobil, tabrak-tabrak
Wow.
mobil gitu kan yang lebih agresif. Latihannya dari gue loncat mobil ke mobil lain itu langsung
That
di-set.
looks kind of like the
Tapi
opening to Deadpool,
sebelum
doesn't
kita
it?
take,
Oh, it
lihat dulu
does.
jaraknya seperti apa, speednya seperti apa, itu udah diperhitungkan oleh tim Bruce Lau sih.
We're moving along at 60 miles an hour with the car. We're keeping the camera feeling very handheld. We have a camera pass, so the camera's in one car and we're passing it physically to another car, traveling at 50. So 2 operators but 1 camera, and we start the movement and pass to the other operator.
Oh man, that's so crazy.
Those
Yeah,
kind of
is that the
mid-range
red
Oh,
camera?
he's-
they're really
he's dressed
simple
like a- he's
tricks,
dressed
but
like a
they just
car
work
seat.
really well.
Yeah.
That's
Camera's
pretty
always
fucking
moving,
cool.
but it's realistic movement.
The car seat has the camera.
That's fucking nuts.
Dude, that's why I love these movies.
Kita tahu
These were
jalan
John Wick
utama di
before John
Jakarta
Wick.
siang hari, workdays, hari kerja, dan jalannya harus minimal 3 lane, 3 jalur, 4 jalur. Ada Kemayoran, Senayan, kemudian kita juga tutup di SCBD, kemudian ada di Blok M. Ini tantangan yang lain lagi karena persis di depan terminal bis Blok M. Aktivitasnya setiap hari ribuan orang naik turun bis, ratusan bis keluar masuk, itu harus kita tutup dari jam 6 pagi sampai 6 sore. Sangat sulit. Ya itu film bagaimana tantangan memberikan ke penonton hal yang tidak mungkin tapi bisa kita lakukan. Itu bisa bikin surprise buat penonton.
Wow.
That's cool.
Love those movies.
Yeah, they're great.
Daniel, you definitely need to step up your special effects games on your YouTube channel now.
No, I think I just need to pass more cameras around.
Yeah, right.
This week
Hey.
I'm gonna try doing my reviews, but I'll be dressed as the chair. So you don't even see me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Promiscuous Time Travel. Thank you for being in the chat. Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. I hope
Thank
you
you,
had a good
Jeff.
time.
Yeah,
It's
thank
great
you for having you.
I'll definitely see you later because we got more Born Again to talk about later on. So, and stay tuned for the week. We have a lot more stuff coming up. Go check out our reviews for. We did a bunch of stuff. Gen V episode 1 that is out. I also put out a review for the Poirot movie. So the Haunting in Venice is coming up very, very soon this weekend as well. I finally got around to editing that.
Nice.
And then just comics for the week. There's going to be a whole bunch of cool stuff. Once we can get our hands on that stupid Transformers comic book, we are going to read the shit out of it. We'll probably talk about it next week.
Awesome.
I am very, very excited. And as always, I forgot to find the outro video as I was rambling with it. I really need to have one of you guys do the wrap-up conversation so I can just focus on finding the video. But all right, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute, mi familia. Salute.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Twitter loves you.
Oh yeah. Clay?
Hell, Bebo.
Josh, Simon Center, get the fuck